Hey everyone, Dave here at the world premiere of Force of Nature, The Dry 2. This is the latest homegrown film shot right here in Australia. In fact, filmed right in my home state of Victoria. Love the first movie, love the second one as well. And we're right here, we're going to chat to the cast and creatives behind the movie. Can't wait to talk to them all. Thanks to Roadshow for this. Let's see if we get a chat with Eric Bana. So excited, fingers crossed.
None of you have been honest with me about what happened out there.
Why are you really here?
Out there. Nature holds us all to account.
Pleasure to meet you. I've been a fan of your work for as long as I can remember.
Thank you.
And the first Dry has to be one of my favourite Australian films ever. It's incredible. You've been in a number of my favourite Australian films. Chopper, The Castle, The Nugget. It's a particular favourite. I love The Nugget, mate. It's so good. What's it like for you to tell Australian stories like this?
Yeah, no, we're pinching ourselves. Look, The Dry was such a phenomenon, and you know that the success of that film gave us the opportunity to consider doing the follow-up. It always feels like a minor miracle when you get to make movies of this size here in Australia. So yeah, we're really excited. We felt really confident that we could make another film that showcased a great original piece of material with a landscape as a central character.
Love the film.
Thank you.
I love the first film. I think, I'm not saying this to fluff you up, I think it's genuinely one of the best Australian films ever made. I love it. I love Australian films, Australian storytelling, and your whole body of work is great, telling incredible Australian stories. What's it like for you, and what's the passion, the drive behind that?
Oh, look, I love, I live here. I love working with my friends. Eric's my business partner and a mate.
Yeah.
I love telling stories to Australia about Australia, so that, I grew up with them. I think it's a really important part of our national story.
Yeah.
But look, in some ways, Australian audiences love them too. Like, we were really, the fact there's a sequel is because audiences really gave us a lot of backup on The Dry. So no, we're delighted.
What's it been like for you two to jump into what's essentially a pre-established world?
Well, because my character, nor yours, is in the other film, it sort of feels like it's a very different movie, and so it's really just Eric who kind of has to kind of straddle those two. And so I obviously read Jane's book, and I looked at it as its own thing, But getting comparisons to it is great because the first one was incredibly successful and people seem to really love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Jane Harper did such a beautiful job at sort of painting the story. And so I think for us, I feel very privileged, very lucky to be able to sort of step into that. But also I think there was enough space for us to sort of bring our own sort of flair to it. And I think it was really fun to sort of be involved in that sort of creative process of getting it up on its legs. Yeah.
It must be great to see your work adapted on the big screen like this. Second time round with the second Aaron Fold story.
Yeah, it's really great. And they've done such a fantastic job. I think everybody who enjoyed the first movie will absolutely love this one. They've captured the book really well. I think it's really important to me that the readers enjoy it as well. And I think everybody who has connected with the book will connect with this film in such a great way.
I imagine you also get some time on the set as well. What's it like sort of being there and seeing your work kind of come to life in front of your eyes?
I did get to go to set and it was so much fun. I think it's really exciting to see all these people working together to make the film, as good as it can be and as great as it is. It's always really interesting seeing behind the scenes, especially for someone like me who's not involved in that industry. I love seeing the actors work. I got to see Eric Bana obviously do some of his scenes, and that's always a joy. And then it's really lovely to see how well that's translated to the screen and how beautiful it all looks.
You've been in the film industry, Australia, for a long time. You've worked on so many fantastic homegrown films, really great Australian stories. Love The Sapphires, by the way. It's incredible, one of the best. What's the importance of Australian storytelling?
Telling Australian stories allows us to have our voice the way we want it driven. I mean, I think that there was a renaissance in the 70s, with Australian voice, making our voice quintessentially Australian. But what that meant in those days was something very different to what it means today. So I think being able to tell the stories today as we see them today, as we reflect ourselves in this community, is something that's really important. for us as storytellers. I mean, for me as a storyteller, they're the things I want to see our heroes, you know, as an Aboriginal man, it's what I want to see. I want to see our heroes on screen, whether it's talking about the Aboriginality or not. The mere fact that there's a women of colour in this, Aboriginal people in this, it's really important to show that story that involves all of us, includes all of us. And that's why it's really important for me to tell Australian stories.
It's great to come back to the Aaron Falk stories. What's it been like for you, especially coming off the back of the popularity and the success of the first film?
Well, as a producer, you dream about having a film that people love so you can make a second one. Yeah. So we were so happy that we were allowed to come back into the Aaron Falk world and the Jane Harper world. And we had an incredible experience making this with Rob and Eric.
And this is your feature debut, correct? So what's it been like for you? You've been with some fantastic seasoned performers and Eric Banner, of course. What's it been like?
Wow, I feel like I'm still pinching myself, I think. What a beautiful sort of slide on into the industry. I felt so lucky to be so supported by such a seasoned cast, and I just felt like a big old sponge. I was just sort of like learning on the job, sort of watching Anna and be like, okay, that's how she does this. And I think for me it was just a huge learning experience, and I'm very grateful for it.
The thing I love about the two films is that they just feel so different.
Oh, good.
Different
landscapes.
They're
the same.
Yeah, but they're the same. You know, you've got the same character and the same through line, but the location's different, the genre feels different, the characters are different. Is there a particular challenge in doing that for you, in jumping between the two sort of?
I think they are about location and place, so I think that, you know, that was so important to them, and they're very different locations. But I love making cinema that takes an audience somewhere they haven't been, so yeah.
Yeah, capturing the differences between, I mean, if you look at some of the many of the films of the past, often we're talking about, well, like The Dry, of course. Most people on an international level will assume that Australia is a desert land. You know, we've got snowy mountains, we've got, you know, beautiful rainforest, we've got beautiful coastal land. It's an opportunity for us to showcase how incredibly different, vast this country is, and you know, in all its glory, we get to see Australia in a way that mostly has never been shown before. You know, I mean, even when you think about some of those old films, usually it's that arid desert, and it's beautiful, and you know, we want to see that more of it, I think, but we want to see more of the landscape that is, you know, sort of a main character in this film. It really is. It's quite striking, isn't it?
What's that like, working with that same character, but stepping into sort of almost a different world?
Yeah, you're right. It was really exciting because they're very, very different films. We certainly didn't rest on our laurels. And Jane had written this incredible source material which we were able to adapt and tweak, and she was incredibly supportive of that, and assembled another incredible cast, just like we did on The Dry. And I know that's what the audience really enjoyed about that film. So we've tried to deliver that again here.
What was your idea behind plopping this character into a kind of a different setting, a different world with each of the books? And of course there's a third book as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it is a very different story and a very different setting, but its heart is very much the same in terms of tone and feel, and you get to see the character Aaron Falk again develop a little bit more. And I think I wanted to just give him a different environment. I think the story really demanded it was told in this more claustrophobic setting, and I think I love the way of the film. It does feel very different, but at the same time familiar, and I think in terms of quality and in terms of the way audiences, I think, will respond to it, I think it's very, very much in the family of the first film, The Dry.
Such a great ensemble as well, particularly like a really great female ensemble.
Yeah.
What was it like for both of you to work in this? And you're working with Made Up Stories as well.
Yeah.
You know, they're all about empowering the female creatives and actors. Yeah. What's that been like?
I mean, to be honest, the thing that I thought was, what I enjoyed the most, even though it was probably also the most challenging aspect of filming, is that, you know, so often you're kind of like doing these, you know, this work, and you're always inappropriately dressed for stuff, you know, like you're the chick that's, you know, like in the, you know, petticoat or in like the, you know, ball gown running through the mountains, where we were all ready and prepped for it. But then we also were in there, like most of our locations, well, I didn't do anything at the lodge, but most of the locations were, you know, like a bit of a trek and a bit of a hike. And so we'd all put our backpacks on and we'd all kind of like work our way up there, and then we'd all plonk down, you know, in the middle and just talk. Like we did spend a lot of time just sitting around drinking hot tea and talking. Not that that's all we did, but I did enjoy that kind of camaraderie, like that element, you know, the feeling of being in the trenches. And I think it was a nice group. We all were very different people, and it sort of complemented the work.
Particularly this film, I think, lent itself very well with it because you've got a very big female ensemble in here.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because this film feels more made-up stories than The Dry, but we were so passionate about The Dry. We loved Jane Harper's writing so much, and we really wanted to tell her story. And we're just thrilled we got to do the second one because all these 5 women are so incredible in this movie, and to see them on the screen in the conditions that they had to shoot in. They did an amazing job. To see Deborah Lee Furness back on our screens again, it was just the biggest joy.
Yeah, like you said, it's just so rare. A film of this scale as well, and to get the sequel. What's it like coming back to this world?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing to do a sequel, to have this incredible cinema completely booked out tonight with people, and to release it, you know, fair bait for Australian audiences. It's great. And to return to the character that Eric created of Aaron Fall.
It's amazing. I got a chance to see it during the week, and I loved it. It lives up to the first film, which is what you want. So I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Your mind starts to play tricks on you out there, like you're being watched.